Welcome, Camila, to the podcast.
Thank you, Andy.
Do you want to introduce yourself for the listeners?
Sure. So, by the way, again, thank you for inviting me. My name is Camila Rivas. I'm very excited to be here today. I am Brazilian Argentinian, half and a half. Mom Brazilian and dad Argentinian. Have been living in Vancouver for 9 years now. Just got my citizenship, so now I'm Canadian as well.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. And yeah, so it's a pleasure to be here today.
Well, thank you. You told me in your message that you came to Vancouver because you wanted to explore a new life. Right? Like a different culture, something like this. So explain what led you to that and what brought you here.
Yeah, 2015, when I was in a moment of my life where I was like, okay, what's next? So I was working with my dad, living in Argentina back then. I was, I think I want to learn English. Right, because the job exposed me to a lot of English speakers or foreign speaker people. So with that, I was like, okay, I think I really should learn English. And with that, one thought leads to the other, where I'm like, I think I want to learn what is outside of my bubble, right? So I start thinking about to explore and other cultures and other places. And I remember like slowly going into that direction. What means like I started researching and looking for places. I remember being in between London and Vancouver. But then I felt like Vancouver was my style more.
Why?
Because of nature.
Yeah, like
mountains.
The sea.
Yeah.
And I guess from a weather perspective, like the darkness, the clouds, it's similar. So
Actually, yeah, it's true. I heard about it. I don't know London, but I heard it's very similar weather. But it's completely different from Brazil.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
What are you from? Northern part or
South
part? The mountains or?
No, close to river. Yeah, close to river. There is no mountains, but so it's border with Argentina and Paraguay, so it's a very unique place as well.
Is it warm all the time or?
Most of the time. Yeah, I think we have like about 2 to 3 weeks of winter.
2 to 3 weeks of winter. And like, what's the temperature in the winter?
In the winter?
Yeah.
In the winter it gets really cold, but it's a different cold from here. So with 10 degrees is already cold. So it's what we have here today, and for us it's like such a nice weather.
Yeah.
In my hometown it's like 10 degrees. It's crazy cold. But yeah.
Very cool. And so then you decided to come to Vancouver in 2015, and you wanted to learn a different culture. So like, what are some learnings? Like since coming here, how do you compare? Like, what have you seen?
Yeah, I feel like it's been a long journey, and I had changed so much. I had no clue back in 2015 when I was having those thoughts. Oh, I should learn a new language. I should travel somewhere else, and explore, because I am in a moment of my life where I could just do that before things start happening, right? So yeah, when I decided, I was like, okay, I'll take this leap of faith, let's say, and just be adventure. I decided to come to learn English, and one thing after the other was leading me to not go back to Brazil, to just stay here. I really enjoyed like the lifestyle. Like, it was so different from what I knew, and that was what motivated me from the beginning to
Okay.
just, okay, I want to, like experience. They look so different. I remember having those thoughts. They look so different. Like people that I met could not express or could not talk to them because I didn't speak English.
Here.
Back then, back home, when I was working with my father,
I see.
and I would interact with Canadians, Americans, or any other country that's I couldn't know what was it. So I was like, okay, I really want to explore other places. And when I was 17, actually, I lived in Germany.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I've never been to Germany. My father built highways in Germany for the U.S. military.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cool.
But so tell me about Germany.
Yeah, I went with my aunt when I was 17. We lived there for 7 months, I think. I was starting to be able to speak some Deutsch.
Okay.
But then we went back to Brazil. But yeah, it was a good experience for me, and I'm sure that built my courage to actually afterwards, like years after coming to Canada.
Sure.
Yeah, because it was not my very first trip or my abroad trip.
And you were with your father when you traveled to Germany?
No, I went with my aunt.
With your aunt?
Yeah,
With your
yeah,
aunt. Okay.
yeah. I was with her, so I was 17, but I was living with her. So Canada was the first time I came alone. I came by myself.
And describe that, like you're getting on the plane and you're traveling to Canada alone.
Yeah.
What are the thoughts going through your head?
Yeah, I had no clue what was coming in a good way. I had no clue all the challenge that you face, right? I was 25 back then, and I had just courage. That was the only thing that I was bringing with me. So I had that mindset. I'll just focus and learn English. And that's what I did for the first 6 months here. I remember just isolating myself from any Brazilian, any Portuguese speaker or Spanish speaker. And then just, focusing and learning English as much as I could. And after a while, I realized that I didn't want to leave. Well, like I had 1 year visa. My first visa was for 1 year. And when it was coming close to the end, I was like, I don't think I'm ready. I want more. All right. Because I was in this 6 months just focusing in learning English.
Yeah.
And then when I was starting to feel more comfortable was when I was like, I'm about to go back. So I decided not to. And with that, okay, how do I stay in Canada? And if I stay, where that will lead me? And then that's when I decided to go all in and do the immigration, process.
Very cool. The immigration process. I haven't started this myself yet here in Canada. Like I've been here 3 years. But describe that a little bit. What was your path? You said it took you 9 years to. So like you came here on what type of permit?
Study. My first visa was a study permit. Yeah.
And then so after that expired, how did you proceed forward?
Yeah. So back then my only plan was like, okay, I want to spend a year there, learn English, and I'll see what's gonna happen after. And then in this first year, I see that, okay, if I want to stay longer and leading to an immigration, I need actually to have an experience, like a work experience here. But for that, I need to study something in Canada, right? Like a career.
Yeah.
So that's when I decided to do marketing certification.
Okay.
That really helped me to get my first job as well. I did 2 year certification at BCIT. And then after that, I remember like literally thinking like, okay, if I don't get a job until this day, I'll go back, right, to Brazil, because I was in those 2.5 years that I was here back when I was finishing my program at BCIT. I did everything, right? I did so many type of jobs, like part-time jobs. I was a nanny. I worked for Subway, for grocery stores, for like, I don't know, everything you can imagine and in between. And then I was like, I'm done.
Yeah.
Like if I don't get a real job,
You're going back home.
yeah. And a real job for me back then was something in my field,
In
right?
marketing.
Yeah. I'm just going to go back. And then I was doing so many interviews, and I remember exactly the day that I went to the interview where I was hired, that I was like, okay, I'm literally letting this go. If it's meant to be, it's meant to be. And I was so honest in my interview that I really thought she would not hire me. And it was actually the one that hired me, and it was for English school. Yeah.
Like teaching English?
No, to work as a recruiter.
I was recruiter. I remember this now.
Yeah.
Recruiter.
Yeah, so I started working in the same industry that I came here,
Okay.
right? Like studying. Now I'm working there to bring people to study
That's
here.
cool.
Yeah, so it was a nice turnaround, I would say. So yeah, and I'm very passionate about it. This because that's what I did, right? Like I decided to explore another country, another culture, meet different people, different mindset. Yeah,
Sure.
like just literally try to know more about the world. Yeah.
So you were talking about mindset, and
Yeah.
you were talking about culture. So what are some similarities, differences that you've noticed, like that you learned since being here?
Yeah, well, that's a big subject for me because there is so many, but then when you realize it's all the same, if that
Okay.
makes sense.
Explain.
Well, we are all humans.
Oh, really? I
Yeah,
didn't know
yeah,
this. I
in
was
case-
unaware. Okay, but we're all humans. This is good to
Yeah.
know.
No, what I mean is like we all use different ways to kind of protect ourselves.
Okay.
That's how I see it, at least. But yes, all the things that we see out there, we are what the environment you are in. So I was in Brazil, basically the environment that I grow up, the people I had around me, right? So I had the same mindset, the same thinking,
Sure.
or even sometimes I would be the black sheep.
The black sheep.
Yeah, because I would go against. So that's actually what made me move. Like, okay, no, I don't think I want to be like this, or I want to do this for the rest of my life. So I'm going to try something different. So that actually made me to go somewhere else. And then I went to Germany first. And then I remember I was young, 17, but I was observing so much as well. And then went back to my home country, my hometown. And then seeing that, okay, I was one person in Germany, and then now I'm back here and I'm going back to that same mindset, but I don't really fit in here. So I need to find another place where I can see,
Yeah.
But then I start having those realizations that you really are part of the how do you say, your environment, right? Like you start absorbing so much.
Sure.
And for me it was like that. It's still today. Like I feel like if I am with you, I'm gonna start learning so much about you, so much about your culture, and then my mind just opened up about that, right? Like sometimes if you go to a new place, same thing happen, right? So it's amazing how our mind just adapts to whatever situation or place you are in. So yes, I do think I do see a big difference. Like, for example, Brazilians are known, or Latins are known, how warm they are.
Yes.
How
Yes.
open they are.
Yes. How feisty they are. Yes. You share your emotions, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Whatever you're feeling.
Yeah, it's hard for us to hide, I guess.
Yes.
Right? And then here, my first impression I remember is like, wow, they are so polite. They are so nice.
Yes.
But then after a while, you start saying, oh, it's weird. It's weird, like, because I don't get more of, I just get that, and that's it. You know?
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's kind of like a wall.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
I just get oh, you're so beautiful, or you're so nice, or it's just that first interaction, but there is nothing after, or there is a wall, there is a big space, right? So I started like, oh, okay, so this person actually likes me, or she's just being friendly, or what is that? She want to be my friend, he want to be my friend, or what is that? Is it just being polite, right? In Brazil, I think it's very different in that way, because I'm going to be nice to you, and that means I want to get to know you. I want to, become friends and things like that. And here is just a practice. Not for everybody, of course, but that was the experience I was having when I first came, and, I had this opinion, oh, they are so nice, they are so polite. And then back in Brazil, we are more like maybe not so nice at first, right? Because like...
standoffish.
Yeah. But then as soon as I know I like you, then...
it's your open book.
Yeah. So it's different in that way, but both ways is a protection, I would say, right? Like, that's what I mean. Like, it's very different way to, like, put a protection, but it's to protect yourself.
I understand what you mean. I think what you're saying is that in North American, Canadian culture here, we put up a wall to protect ourselves by, so the act of the wall, it's like you pretend, you keep everything friendly, and that's the way to protect yourself. And then you have to get past that wall. But in Brazil, your wall is different. It's more standoffish. It's like I'm not gonna be polite with you, but then once I get to know you, then I let you in. Yeah. So I see what you mean.
Yeah, we can even actually be polite from the beginning, right? But I have very, like, I show you the intentions right away, right? Like, oh, I'm just being nice to you, but we are not friends, right?
Yes.
And here it was giving me the impression, oh, this person is so nice. So I think, you know what I mean?
Yeah, like you misinterpret the niceness or the politeness as you've been accepted.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Especially when you're new to a place, right? And everybody's so nice and polite. It's like, oh, okay. So, and I still think Canada is so friendly. I never felt like an outsider here.
Yeah.
So there is, and I see all those difference now, because when I go back to Brazil to visit, it's a shock to me as well.
Yeah, and is your family, friends like, what happened to you? You're different. Yeah. Does this happen?
Yeah. I have heard a few comments about that.
Yeah.
So I think it's normal, and you even can answer me that too, if you feel like in between the two cultures, even though yours, I think it's more similar. But I don't feel 100% Brazilian anymore,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't feel 100% Canadian.
Yeah, you're in the middle ground.
Yeah.
Even me, like I'm from Ohio, right?
Yeah.
So I noticed subtle. It's not nearly as drastic as you, but I noticed subtle differences in culture. Like one is how loud people speak. Like where I'm from, we just speak loud like this all the time. It doesn't matter. You go to a restaurant, you talk to friends, you're in a meeting. It doesn't matter. You talk loud. Here they talk soft. Very politely. This is one thing I do notice. I feel where I'm from, people are kind of what you're saying. They're less polite, but they're more honest in their communication. Not probably as much as you're from, but I also notice this as well.
Yeah, yeah, it's different ways, I guess, to reading and showing, right? Here you have to really understand this is how they present themselves,
Sure.
like in a polite way, nice way, but
Yes.
that's it. Doesn't mean anything
Yes.
else.
Yes.
Doesn't mean they like you. Doesn't mean they want to be your friend. It's
Yes.
just like the culture.
One thing I learned here is the look in the eye is very important here. Like where I'm from, they don't have this. Like here,
Yeah.
when they're angry at you, they can be nice, and they kind of have this.
Oh.
You know what I'm talking
Yeah,
about? It's
yeah.
like, oh, yeah.
This mean.
Yeah. Yes. It's like I'm piercing. Yes. Like, oh, I'm so happy that you're here.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know what
Yeah. Yeah. It's the passive aggressive.
Yes, Yes.
So much we talk about, right? Yeah. It's hard I can tell you, it's hard for the Brazilians. I think I can even say it's hard for the Latins.
Yes.
Because we are I feel like we are so one or the other. So passive or so aggressive.
Yes.
Both at the same time is very difficult.
Yes.
You can learn. I definitely had learned in some points, but I think it's also not such a good behave to have, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because you hide so much there, right? Like me being in my journey here, until I understand that, it was like, okay, why I'm doing all this? Like I feel all this pressure. I feel like I need to really help people, not help them, but I really need to do what they are asking me so they will like me.
Yes.
And I felt like this is so hard until I understand, oh, this is passive aggressive because I actually don't want to do this.
No,
I'm being enforced in a very passive way to behave this way. And that's when I start having like, I don't think I like this.
Yeah, my personal self, where I'm from, it's less passive aggressive. But I personally used to be more passive aggressive because I used to hide my emotions more like a Canadian, right? And at least I don't want to generalize, to say like a Canadian, but from a lot of people in this area that I live here in this part of the world here, they tend to hide. And actually moving to Vancouver was very good for me because I saw passive aggressiveness all the time, right? It was very common everywhere, and I didn't like it at all, and it exposed my own passive aggressiveness. And so how did I deal with it? I learned is I'm just aggressive now. So like if you come to me passive aggressively, then I will come to you in aggression, and that's how you stop it, right?
Oh, okay.
But then what I learned is by being more aggressive when I was upset or like someone was treating you poorly or whatever it is, you're actually happier as a person because you're not holding it anymore. And then you let your anger out and then you move on your day, right? Versus keeping it in the whole time
and feeding into that thing. Definitely. It took me it took me a few years to also understand that process. And that's why I feel like now I can be vulnerable. There is no pain and that, because I think my first years here, I start to holding so much pain, right? Like, oh, why this person is treating me like this? Why I don't fit here and this and that, right? Like my English is so bad. All those insecurities, I was holding everything in to not be vulnerable. And then eventually you see like, no, this is too heavy. I think I'm just going to be vulnerable. I'm just going to be myself, be honest with people and be honest with me. And yeah, because I was doing similar to you, I was being aggressive in a point where like I start seeing, I don't really want to do this. I don't want to be passive. So I went to aggressive. So I was holding everything in. My aggressiveness was more like, I'm strong. I don't need you kind of thing,
F you kind of thing? Okay.
And to a point where I feel like that was breaking me.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, you know what? I think being vulnerable is the most courage thing I could do, right? Like really show that, you know what, this is painful. This is hard. Like I moved from another country. I'm starting all over here. Like there is so much insecurity around me. And if I deal with that first myself, then I'll be okay. And I don't need to carry this into my relationships, into my friendships, right? And so that was very eye-opening for me. Of course, it took me years to get to that realization, and a lot of tools, let's say.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I agree with you and the vulnerability. Like, have I ever regretted being vulnerable? And I'd say the answer is no. Like you have fear when you're vulnerable with people, but when you are vulnerable, you're just free, right? You're like, this is me. This is who I am. This is my belief. This is my past, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And then it's free, and then they can take it however they want.
Yeah. Yes, you're freeing yourself first, right?
Yes.
Of all those judgments that we carry ourselves. Yes.
And what I also notice is when you are vulnerable and when you're authentic, you attract more people who are authentic and right. Like this is, I've had people tell me before, like one reason we like you is because you are just who you are. You don't, and I like hanging around people like that. Like people who they just let you know, like there's no hidden games or agendas. Like at least for me, I just like honesty.
Yeah, I agree 100%, and I think this is something beautiful here too, right? Like you can encounter so many people in the same mindset.
Yes.
Right? Like it's a beautiful city, but it can be dark, let's say, right? And I'm not talking about the weather. I'm talking literally about like feeling isolated, feeling away from home. Like, there is a lot of superficiality as well. So if you are going through, in my case, I went through moments where I'm like, what I'm doing here? Why I'm here? Like, there is my whole family. It's in Brazil, Argentina, and what I'm doing here.
You're alone, right?
Yeah. So those thoughts comes to your mind, and then when you see like who are my friends here. Back then, I had a lot of superficial friends. Unfortunately.
Sure.
It's part, right? Because I was not being honest. I was not being vulnerable. I was just like, no, I'm tough.
Yeah, I understand.
So that was the type of friendships I was
Having.
having and attracting,
Mm-hmm.
and I was not happy, right? And then at the moment that I decided to accept myself and accept and being vulnerable, being honest, then things start to change, right? But I do say like it was a long process for me, and what I'm talking here, yes, involves like mental health, involves depression, involves all
Sure.
the ball, fate as well. So yeah, I felt so free when I decided to take those steps and
Yeah.
being more authentic to myself, being more vulnerable. And then I start meeting different people.
Mm-hmm.
It's like magic
Yeah.
because I start, yeah, and I see now that I'm genuine, and that also has an impact on me. Like I was also becoming very superficial, not being interested in people, just pretending I
Yeah.
was nice, but I was not interested in them, right? Because it's you
Yeah.
adapt
Sure. Yeah.
to the situation. And then now, no, like I'm genuinely interested in people and know your story,
Yeah.
know why makes you think the way you think,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like what are your experience?
Sure.
Yeah.
I can tell just from the little time I've known you, like I can tell that you are authentic and you have interest and passion, when you talk to people. Like I can tell this. So good for you.
Thank you.
And I think what you describe, it's a common story I hear about people who like move to Vancouver, but I don't think it's Vancouver. It's probably like if you move, right, from your comfortable place of home, you move to a new country or a new place or somewhere new. You have growth as a person, right? Like you change, like you have to go through this process of you were person A,
Yeah.
and then you came here, and then now over time, now you're person B.
Yeah.
But you have to go through that journey, and it's a journey, right? I mean, because you come here, you don't know anybody, and you're in your apartment alone, right? That's a tough place to be.
Yes. No. Yeah. I agree. It's not Vancouver for sure. It's a journey. It's the
Yeah.
journey. It could be anywhere. Could be Brazil. Could be China. Could be I
Yes.
don't know, any other country. You can feel the same
Yeah.
situation, especially if you're new there. But what I also think about Vancouver is like it's such a beautiful city,
Yes.
but there is this opposite side. What I mean, the darkness, it's like the depression. There is a lot of people here that unfortunately live in that. And I say this because I was there once, right?
Yeah.
Like I was deeply depressed and I was like, I live in such a beautiful place.
Yeah.
Why I feel this way?
Yeah.
Right? So there is I like to talk about those things a lot with friends and
Yeah.
people. Like, do you feel that? And they feel, we don't know if it's the weather,
Yeah.
know, what is it? But yeah, so I like to think there is always this double, the
Yeah.
two sides of the
Sure.
coin.
Yeah, I think part of it, not the whole story, but I think part of the story is you've alluded to it, which is you're away from your support group, right? So you're isolated, right? And I think that I had a friend, and he moved here. He was studying in school, and then his parents came over to see him, right? Like a year or two when he was living here, and I was talking to his brother, and like his parents were so sad, like because they saw him, right? They're like, he's living here alone. He doesn't have anybody. All he does is work. He has an apartment, and like that's a very it's a common story here in Vancouver. And then they came back years later, and he had a kid, and like he had a family, kind of, and
He came
so
back to Vancouver.
the family came back.
Oh,
The,
okay.
they came out
Okay.
to visit him, 4 years later or 3 years later or something, and it was a different experience,
Yeah.
And then he had more friends and people, but yeah, it's I think that is part of it, is not having a support.
Yeah.
You have to build that. Right? You have to find the people.
Yeah.
And it's hard, here to find people. It
Yeah.
really is. It's not easy necessarily.
Yeah, no, that's very interesting because even though like I think being an immigrant is such a brave thing. It's just, if you're alone or if you are with your family and kids still, right? Because you're not with, like, your kid's not gonna have the grandpa, the grandma around. So like I have friends that go through that, like they want the kids to have that experience with their grandparents, right? Because if both are not from here, then means it's just a small family. For a Brazilian, that's not common. I don't know if others experience the same feeling, but I see a lot of, especially Brazilians, like when they have kids here, they're like, oh my God, I want to go and give my kid that type of experience as well. So being an immigrant in general is a very challenging thing to do, but it's beautiful too, right?
Yeah. It's an adventure. And you, like, here, one thing I love is meeting all different kinds of people. Like, this is one thing here you're blessed to have, is people from all over the world, right? And you get to learn a lot about culture here.
Yeah. I think the way I see now, it's my choice, right? It's our choice to be here, right? We decided to stay in Vancouver, and community you create here, it's your new family.
It is. It is.
Yes.
It is.
Yes, it's my support. Like I tell close friends, like, yeah, you were family for me, because literally, like,
Who else is here?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
I was just telling my friend this week I saw him, and we're very close, and I was like, yeah, like, you're like my family. Like, I go to your house, and like, you invite me in, you invite me with all your people. It's like, that is a special thing. Like, like when you're here and there's no one and someone invites you in, and that's a special thing. Like, you always remember that, like, at least for me, like, I always remember, like, you brought me in.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. It's being vulnerable again, right? Like being open to tell this person, okay, I want to get to know you, or if someone is new, I really try to be very genuine. Like, I wanted to get to know you, but as the Brazilian in me, I go and how can I say, little by little,
What do you mean?
Yeah, that's interesting. Now I'm thinking, I don't know if it's a Brazilian or a Canadian way, because Canadians are very slow to be friends with someone, right?
Yes.
Like, to be genuinely good friends.
At least in Vancouver, it takes time.
Yeah, that's true. I only know Vancouver. Haven't been in other places in Canada. But like, when I want to get to know someone and be friends, I'm very open.
Yeah.
But to get closer and closer, I take my time.
You take your time.
Yeah.
I'm probably the opposite on that. Like, I move when I feel close to people, I open up pretty quickly.
Okay.
And of course, it's like you take a couple steps forward, maybe a step back, a couple steps forward. But like, a prime example was like the buddy I was describing, that when his parents came.
Yeah.
we met at work,
Yeah.
and then we said, hey, we should hang out someday.
Mm-hmm.
So we hung out at 5 p.m. and like we picked one day, like, and we said we're gonna hang out from 5
Yeah.
and then see where the night goes, and then it ends like 1 a.m. And then we do that 7 days in a row. Or
Wow.
5 days in a row.
Okay.
And that's how that relationship started, right? And then we became really, really good friends. We became roommates. So my point is, at least for me, like, when I find someone like that, like, I attach to,
You go all in.
I go all in. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yes. No, definitely. I think there is those moments that everything just fits right, and then
And it's not all people. Like, it's has to be a special person in order for that to
happen.
happen.
Yeah. Cool. Yes, I'm lucky to have a few people like that too in my life here. That it was like, oh, I didn't expect that to become such a good friendship. Yeah, but definitely happens.
And the friendships, like, they change everything, if that makes sense. Like, you're here, no friends, and then you start making friendships, and then the whole picture starts to change.
Yeah. I was I'm trying to think, where did I see or hear this, that is always better to do things with someone if you can.
Yes.
Right? Always do things with someone. Example, if you want to start to run, do it with someone, right?
Yes.
Like, to create that habit, because then it's going to be easier to maintain.
Yeah, like the cold plunge. Yeah.
Exactly. As well, yes. Anything that will challenge you.
Yes.
If you have a support, if you have a friend, if you have someone that will, when you feel like, oh, I'm not going to do it today, and it's like, can push you.
Yeah.
It's always to do with someone, right?
I think it's good too. At the same time, like, I agree, like, building a routine and having a sense of community, it's always good to have people. At the same time, like, it's a lesson I necessarily don't like, because I don't enjoy it all the time. But it's doing things alone. It's also important, right? Like, going to a coffee shop alone and just focus. Or like me, like, I built a lot of discipline last year and early this year by going for the ocean swimming alone. Like, it's like there's no one else here. It's you. Like, come on, man. Like, let's do this thing. Like, there's no excuses. And but anyway, I see both sides, but I definitely agree with you. Like, building a sense of community, do it with somebody.
Yeah. No, I mean, I also like my own time, my alone time, where I can process everything. So it really depends.
Yeah.
I agree with you, actually. It really depends. But I guess for some things, like, at least where I am right now, I do feel like, okay, I need someone to push me. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. And doesn't really matter, to be honest.
I don't think it's good or bad. I think it's just a thing.
It's what I need.
Yeah.
Right? I see, like, okay, there is a lot of things that I do on my own, and I don't need anybody to plug me in or to tell me to do, or I know I need to get it done.
Yes.
But the other ones, example. You want an example?
Yeah, of course.
I want to start a podcast.
Yes. I remember this. This is how
we start this.
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely. And like those things. So I'll give you an example. Like, is I started the podcast, and I started with these microphones and my iPhone camera, my old iPhone camera, and I recorded it, and like 2 months goes by, and Farnood who's my friend, like, Asan was my first guest.
Yeah.
And Farnood's like, hey, like, what's going on with this episode? Because it was about Iran, and we were talking about what was the protests that were happening there, and kind of the revolution that's the uprising that's brewing there. And he's like, I'm really interested in this. Like, what's going on? I'm like, I don't have an editor. I thought I did, but I don't, you know. And so he's like, okay, I'll help you out with this one, you know. And so Farnood was a good push for me to kind of move the needle, and he still pushes me from time to time, because sometimes I don't like to push for things like meeting, like bringing up like, hey, you want to be on the podcast, you know, like that doesn't come natural to me, you know, like what's it called, promoting myself.
Yeah.
So like having someone do that, like if it wasn't for him, I don't know where I'd be right now, you know. So again, thank you, Farnood.
Good.
Yeah, so I understand what you mean.
Yeah, exactly. That's a great example, right? You need someone to push you out of those comfort zones, I would say, right? Like where it's like, oh, I'm okay, I don't need to do this. But then if there is someone telling you, no, I'll do it with you, I'll do for you, I'll help you out, it's like, why not?
Yes.
Right? And I feel the same. Like we know that podcast now it's a huge thing. Like we are all listening at least 3 different podcasts. So, and my motivation to do is basically because, to be honest with you, it's mental health and spirituality, philosophy and God, because that will help me to get through depression. And I see all around me, right? Like I see we all go through emotions. We all go through difficult times and things like that. And when I go in the internet or when I look around and I see so many, like, I'm trying to choose a nice word, but I see a lot of BS
on the internet.
And the internet and around me as well, you know?
Yes.
That I feel like, oh, I never felt like a need to speak up. I never felt like a need to fight that.
Yes.
As I feel now.
I see.
I feel now because I see how much people are just, especially young people, how much they are influenced by, you know, social media or whatever, people around them. And I feel like, okay, you know, if there is so many BS out there talking nonsense, I need to do something. I can't just be mad about it, right? I can't just sit down and watch them doing this. So that's my motivation. But that's for me also, it takes me out of my comfort zone. Like, you know, there is so many, how I'm going to do or why I'm going to do this, like so many ups and downs. And then, so meeting you was also like a big motivation for me.
Well, thank you. Thank you. One advice I can give you on your podcast is just to start. So I did this slowly, right? Like when I first started, no lights, no foam, right? No computer, no this setup, 1 camera, 2 mics, and in a room with the editors had to do lots of editing to get all the sounds. Like I had a really squeaky table, like it was like but just start. And like if you look at the podcast episodes, you can see a small progression, right? Like, okay, like he moved rooms, he added this, you know, the sound got a little better here. Yes. So I gave this to my father.
Okay.
When I was very young, he passed away. And so I keep this. So this is Dad's office.
Okay.
And then this is my father made this for me. It's kind of broken here, but you know, he made this for himself. And like when he was in wood shop and like when he was in high school.
Okay.
And he gave it to my uncle. And then my uncle, when he passed away, he gave it to me. So,
Nice. Nice.
yeah.
Keeping him close.
Yes, it's one way I keep him close.
Mm-hmm. And can I ask you why? Why the podcast?
Yeah, so we talked about this a little bit. Honestly, still not 100% absolutely sure why, but I thought about it for like a good year that I want to do something else, my job. And what I recognize, one, I really like talking to people. I'm good at talking to people. I have interesting conversations, and I'm surrounded by cool people. Like I have a lot of cool immigrant friends, right? One reason I like immigrants is because, like you, they have interesting stories, right? It's not the typical like, oh, like I grew up here, I got married, and I have kids, and then boom, right? No, there's more of a path, right? So I find that interesting, and I thought that it was a intuition. It was a guess. I said, I think people would enjoy hearing these stories, like because I enjoy hearing these stories. So I think other people might enjoy it too. So that's why I started
Your podcast.
my
Yeah.
podcast.
Amazing. Amazing. And you're already influencing me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah. What else?
What else?
Yeah.
Okay. Look, can I ask? You brought up 3 subject matters from your podcast. I mental health,
Yeah.
philosophy, and faith.
Yeah.
So can we talk about those subjects?
Yeah.
All right. Let's start with the mental health.
Okay.
So if you don't mind, like we
Ask it out.
like what was your journey through mental health?
Yeah. 2019, I started having a lot of anxiety, like a lot. Never experienced that kind of episodios before.
Do you know why you were having them?
Again, looking back, I do think it was because I was just bottling everything, all the emotions, good, bad,
Sure.
anger, anything. I was just like, okay, just be tough.
Sure.
You know? That's how we learned back home too. Like you need to fight,
Yeah.
right? But then, yeah, I got to a point where I felt like I can't take anything in anymore. And my body started to showing that too. So I was scared. And I never had those feelings like, why I'm scared. I was always very like open and encouraged to do a new thing, to talk to people, and I started feeling like just this anxiety to talk to people or to be vulnerable or anything. And so I was isolating slowly, you know.
Yeah.
And then eventually it got to a point where I was showing in my body. Like I would, be shaking or my voice even shaking, right? And then it happened at work. Like I couldn't even control myself at work anymore. And I was so embarrassed. I was like, oh my God, I'm losing control, literally.
Yeah.
And then I started looking for a doctor. Like, okay, something is happening to me. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
And then this is being vulnerable for me.
Okay.
And then I went to a walk-in clinic and describe the things I was having or feeling. And the doctor told me, oh, you're describing a bipolar episode. And then I was mad right away. And I got so mad and I couldn't not show, right? So I laughed. Like, how come she can just tell me that on my face? Like, I don't even know what that means. You know?
Yeah, I understand.
So I started looking up in the internet. Google doctor or doctor. Google. Yeah. And then I was like, I'm not this. Boom. And then it's just keep happening.
Yeah.
The ups and
Yeah.
downs extremely. I would have a lot of energy. I would, I don't know, run a marathon.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would be down for another 2 weeks.
I understand.
And then I went to another doctor, another walking clinic.
Yeah.
I said the same thing. He said the same thing.
Oh.
So then I start, okay, maybe I should
Listen.
pay attention to this. So that was 2019. And at the same time, I grew up Catholicly.
Mm-hmm.
And so at the same time, I started going to church here. And it's funny because I do believe God talks to us in different ways, right? Like depending how you see him. But back then, the way he talked to me is very funny to me right now. Because I would always go to church, get what I need, and goodbye, thank you, Lord, and I'll live my life now. But back then, I was in so deep need that I would go and open up just a little bit and then leave before anybody can talk to me, before anybody, like I was so vulnerable, scared of having a breakdown right there. But then I remember he put someone really nice, like a Christian, really nice. And I was so confused again, like why this person is so nice to me. But that person just kept me going back to church every week. And then I had another breakdown as I was fearing at church. Like I had an episode where I was having a lot of anxiety and I could not control. So then I was like, okay, I don't understand what's going on with me, but something is happening. So then that's when I decided to look in a therapy, a therapist, and as well with church, right? Like trying to find out like what is this? Because I felt like it was not just psychological, it was also spiritual, right? Because two places that happened to me, one was at work where I had to show my best all the time.
Yeah.
But it really surprised me when it happened at church. So I was like, okay, this is two places where this should not happen.
Yeah.
So then I started just being open to like, okay, let's just maybe learn something new here and see what is here for me to learn, right? Because I always had that attitude where, oh, I can do this by myself. I don't need anybody to help me or to tell me what to do. But then I decided to let people help me and let people lead me. And that was a big change in my life and I am very grateful for. So, I started doing therapy. And I did for about 2 years, like nonstop, like every week. And I did in church as well. So that was 2019. I got baptized in August at English Bay.
Okay.
But my faith was growing so much in God. I was understanding so many things about my past as well. But at the same time, I was having a lot of anxiety, more than before, and not understanding why. Because like if I'm running to God, shouldn't this be better? Why is this getting worse? But then now I look back and I see, yes, I had to go through that path. I need to walk that journey, desert, whatever you want to call, because that was my freedom, from all that anxiety I had to go through. I could not have a shortcut or anything like that. I had to face a lot of those things that I was just like, oh no, like I don't want to deal with this. So I was just not looking at. So to be free from the anxiety, from the fears and everything, I had to walk through, right? But God was with me. So, and he was showing up, and I think now that he always do. He's always with you. He's always with me. But the difference is like if you acknowledge and understand that, then you can do in a better way, because then you don't feel like you're doing by yourself. And that was the difference for me, because when I realized he is with me, then I can do, right? But if I'm doing this alone, again, if I don't acknowledge his presence, then it's easier to stop. Easier. And what I mean is like, I was having depression, right? I was having anxiety. I was having a lot of thoughts, right? Yeah. And then it wasn't the people he put in my life from church, and of course also the therapist, I think I would ended up in a very dark place. Who knows where? So yeah, and then COVID happened. So that was 2019, and then things were getting worse towards to the year. I went back to Brazil to visit my family, trying to explain to them what was happening to me. Was not easy because I couldn't even understand, right? Oh yeah, I might have bipolar disorder. I might have depression, something in between. But yeah, so that's where I am right now. And they didn't know what to do, right? Because I'm living so far away. So the only thing that I was hearing from them is like, come back.
Come back, we'll take care of you.
Yeah. Okay. You need to be home. You need family. And I was like, oh my God, I don't think I can. I don't know why, but I don't want to give up on that. Sure. So yeah, it was a few years of back and forward, and COVID was happening right after. I got baptized and everything. So what was March? It was March. And I was in Brazil when actually everything shut down. So I'm very thankful for that, because I did spend 5 good months there in one of my worst times during this journey. And that it was kind of giving me power again and fuel to come back to Vancouver and continue my journey here. So yeah, but I was reading a lot about bipolar disorder, depression, as well the Bible. And that became my passion now, right? I think everything, whatever you live in your life, and you have to dig deep enough, it becomes your passion. It becomes something you're like fascinated about. So I learned a lot about mental health. I learned a lot about bipolar. I learned a lot about depression, and I learned about philosophy, the Bible, and I see how in my life everything came together. And I'm still in that journey, to be honest, right? I'm still like understanding a lot of things. So by the way, I don't have a close diagnosis in bipolar, and I don't hang on that anymore. And what I mean is like, despite if this actually is or not true, I know how to regulate myself. I know how to, navigate those moments. I know where to go and what tools to use and to be safe, to be okay. because we all have emotions, right? We all have ups and downs. This is normal. But learning about bipolar, learning about the brain side of it helped me so much. Okay, yeah, so I can just work in this way. Don't let things get to an extreme point, right? Like, or even like depression as well, right? Depression never starts like right away. It's little by little until actually become a bomb, right? So, and I think it's important, or for me, became like a passion, right? To talk about it, to be aware, to make better decisions, even when you feel like down or when you feel like whatever, those moments, you still need to be present. You still need to push, because we go basically to a very unconscious side of the brain, and you're just in a survival mode. So you make poor decisions, and that's what was happening to me. So again, I'm very thankful for the people I had around me, but I had to surrender. I had to let them lead me, right? I have to trust them to help me. So yeah.
That's a big step. It's a huge step to let that happen.
Yeah.
But you did.
Yeah. Every day.
Every day. Yeah.
I still do. I feel like I'm still every day surrendering to the same path. Yeah.
That's a hard thing to do, and takes consistency and like pushing yourself to do it, right? Because I bet there's some days you're like, oh no, I don't need to do this, right?
Or you push back to that same behave, like, no, I am in control. I decide what is good for me. I'm not gonna do this. Or, like I had a lot of anger issues, right? So I would just explode. So like that's how I deal back then with my emotions, and it was horrible, and it was very poor decisions, right? So because I didn't want to show how hurt or fragile I was. So my way to fight, it was being aggressive. Yeah.
I see.
So it's easy when you don't know how to behave to protect yourself, then it's easy to just go back to what you know.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. But then for me, I had to and that's what therapy really helped me. Like, okay, you need to find a new way to behave when something happened that you don't like, or you can't control, or it's hard, or pain, right?
Or to like regulate yourself. Yeah, I agree on this, that it's very important to figure out how your mind works, and for you to get in control of it, and for you to regulate, like for you to be like, okay, I'm having this emotion, or having this fear, or I'm having this thing. And then for you to get in front of it and say, okay, like I'm having this emotion, but that doesn't mean that emotion is correct, or that, like it's, it might not be reality. I'm feeling this thing. And then, okay, if I'm an anxious state, or a nervous state, or an angry state, how do I bring it down? Like, okay, like for me, it's like doing some yoga, doing some cold plunging, doing jujitsu. I started doing jujitsu, right? It's like going for a run, those things, like that you're learning for you, and everyone is different, but that learning how to regulate yourself, right?
Yeah,
that's very important. And
it's amazing because we have so many options, right? Like you just said a few or a bunch of options that you do for yourself. And I learned so many other options too, like, because that's what I mean when I say I was making so poor decisions. Like, there is so much more you can do, but I guess when you're not mentally well, you don't see any. It's like it's all dark.
Yeah.
It's all dark, and you don't know now. It's just like that deep feeling of whatever is there, right? For me, I really felt pain. Like, it was physical pain, it was spiritual pain. So then was when I start to thinking, okay, I cannot deny that I'm not just my body, and I'm not just my mind.
Yeah.
I'm body, mind, and spirit. So I need to deal with these three because I'm not well in all three. And what is funny for me, not funny, what is interesting is I don't know where it started. It was,
you were fine, and then all of a sudden, like, maybe not all of a sudden, but like this, it developed when you were unhinged. And
my guess is that it's always started in the spirit, but you only felt in the body after, starts in your spirit, goes to your mind, and then the last one is the body. And I only stopped to realize what was happening when got me physically, but it was already in my spirit, it was already in my mind, because I was dealing with that, even though I was trying to hold back. But then when it hit me in the spirit, then when it hit me in the body, I was having anxiety attacks. I was showing people my anger, right? I was not able to hold anything back anymore. You would say one thing to me that I don't like, and I'll go crazy on you. And it's like, oh my gosh, and you see that all the time. You see people going crazy to each other for nothing, right? So I had to go through that walk to understand, like, oh, why people are doing this, why people do this and that. I was very judgmental, I think, back then when I was like a younger teenager, right? Like, oh, people are so this and that, always putting tags until someone give me one as bipolar. I was like, I'm not bipolar. What are you talking about?
I'll kick your ass.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I and that helped me to be more acceptable of people of difference, mindsets and everything. Understand that I don't know what you went through to have, the conclusions you have, to have the mindset you have, the beliefs you have. I don't know, right? So, yeah, even back home too, right? Because I think when I look back again, I think I was running. I moved to Vancouver, not just for an adventure, but I was running.
From something.
Yeah, from what I don't want to deal with this. I don't want to deal with this,
I had a friend told me, she's like, Andy, like, we all moved to Vancouver. We all ran away from something, like if you're living here and you leave your country, right, and you leave your family and you go move somewhere new, right, you're running away from something, right? Like we all have something that brought us here.
Yeah, I agree. I see the same thing. But I also saw that whatever I was running from came with me.
Yeah, no, I understand. Yeah, like it's there's that notion, like, oh, if I do this, or I move here, or I bring this person in my life, or I do X and Z, I get a new job, if I start yoga, whatever. If I do these things, then it's gonna be fine. That's gonna be, like. No, you have to deal with whatever that thing is. And we all have our thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like all our things are different, you know?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, definitely. It will catch up with you in some point, and I think it was great that it didn't took too long to catch up with me. I think it was good to surrender to that. And like in 2019 I started this, okay, let's just change. I need to change. Like, I can't live my life like this.
yeah.
So, like I see myself as fortunate
Fortunate.
to have be able to do that, because yeah, COVID shows us so much pain as well, like in so many different ways, right? Like people losing family, uh, losing their job, losing like everything basically that they had in life.
Sure.
And I didn't lose anything. I was, so protected in that way. But that helped me to shift my mind to be, I'm like, I need to be grateful. I'm so low. Why my feelings are so down,
Yeah.
and I'm so protected. Like nothing really hard happened to me, like a family member dying or anything like that, for me to be that low. So kick your ass, Camila, and get up.
Get up.
Yeah, do what you need to do to get better. Yeah.
I think that's a lesson, and that's a hard lesson to have, which is you have to do the work. You have to put it in. You have to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes the work is just changing your mindset.
Yeah.
I remember an ex. I had an ex, and she told me one day, like, I had a lot of depression, myself, right? When I was younger,
Mm-hmm.
for a variety of reasons. A huge reason is I lost a lot of my family, and that was very depressing for me. And she looked at me one day and she says, "I've tried to do everything to make you happy. I've done this, and nothing worked."
Yeah.
And then I remember, like, in that moment, it clicked. In that moment, I said, "But you can't make me happy. I have to decide. I have to make that decision." Right? And and in a way, it is a decision. It's a mindset shift, saying, like, no, like you might feel pain, or you might feel, but you have to decide to start living. Right? You have to decide to start pursuing your life.
Yeah.
Like living again, right?
Yeah.
Because when you're in that state, because I've been in that state before, when you're not living, when you're just stuck, right? When like literally you're like, okay, I'll stay home. I'll let the life will pass. Like, oh, okay, I've been there before, and that's not a good state to be in. And you have to change that mindset to say, oh, you know what? I'm gonna go do this thing, or I'm going to do whatever X is for you. But it's making that decision. It's changing that mindset, and really, like, that comes from internally.
Yeah.
Right.
Fighting that.
Yeah.
Right. You have to fight the good fight.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree 100%, and that's our free will. Nobody can choose that for you.
No.
Right. That was given to you. So yeah, I have in my family too. Like, I grow up seeing depression around me, and that's why it hit me so badly too, because I used to judge them. Oh, just do it. Just get up. What are you doing? And then I start feeling it the same way. And that was so heavy on me, because I'm like, wow, I judged them so much, but it's possible to overcome. Of course, we need help, right? When you are, it's a great thing that you had someone pushing you because that's important too. But yes, there is a work that's only you can do, right?
Yeah.
Like it's only on you. Like it's only, yeah.
And you have to decide when that time's ready, right? Like, why in that moment was I ready? In that moment, it clicked. How come that happened? I don't know, right? But it took me years to get to that point, and I don't know why. But I'm glad that point happened, and then I can start living again. Yeah.
But you see that she triggered that point for you, right?
Yes, of course.
So that's what I mean. Like having someone with you,
Yeah.
the decision is always ours. But having someone to help you to get there, it's what I also believe helped me to get out of all those moments. Because for me, I feel like it was a long process because I would feel better. Oh, I got this now. I'm good. I'm back to my routine. I can work. I feel good about myself. My mind is clear, blah, blah, blah. And then suddenly, boom.
Yeah.
And it's a boom, like, I don't know. I don't want to go work. No, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be in Brazil. I don't want to be anywhere,
Yeah.
I'm like, so what do you mean? So those kind of conversations I was having with my own self, and just nothing click,
Yeah.
right? So I had to sit there and just deal with those deep, painful emotions, and then slowly cleaning up that room and giving myself time to process, to feel everything that I run from it, right? That I was running away. And again, people around me, therapy, God, books, having a healthy routine. Yeah.
A healthy routine, that's something that's not spoken about a lot, but like in my life, I like having a routine like that you do something.
Yeah.
It keeps you motivated. It keeps you like it lets flow happen, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it changed the mindset. It helps a lot, right? Like
100%.
clear your mind. Like the cold plunge thing is amazing. It's a big lesson for me every time I do. It's like how much my brain is fighting for me to not get into the water.
Yeah. I know for me, it was like a 3-month period. Like I did it almost every day. Like maybe I'd miss, like 3 times a month or something like that.
Wow.
Right. I did it. I did it every day like that for like several months, and all of a sudden you don't recognize that you've changed. Like that you because for me it just wasn't going in the water. It was like I went in the water, then I would go home and do yoga, and then I would do some workout at home, and then it was just like I'm starting all this other stuff and exercises I had and like mental things, right? And it was like, but just starting out one thing and then continuing through the day.
Yeah.
But it was that routine of doing it every single day. And like some days you don't. Some days it's easy. But the hard days,
the resistance, yeah.
Like.
Yeah. No, I agree, and I see that too. Like I try to don't skip the gym. It's something that I enjoy.
Yeah.
But sometimes I have a lot of resistance, and it's something I enjoy, and I still have to fight.
Yeah, of course, of course.
Yeah, so it's funny how the mind just get lazy, right?
It's easy. It gets lazy for me. Like, all it takes is like, okay, I won't go for my morning swim like one day, like, and the next day, oh, okay, and then the next thing you know, a week's gone by. And then it's every single, it's a routine, just whatever your routine, doesn't have to be every single day, but it has to be on whatever cadence that you're doing your routine.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think for me also having the goal, right? Like helps a lot. Yeah. Like, okay, I link the fitness so much with the mental health, right? It's such a common thing. We all know that's good for you. And because I know that is good for me and make a huge difference when I don't go, I already, and that's probably psychological more than physical. I already feel down, not down, but I feel a little more lazy throughout my day. You know,
I know what you mean.
because I didn't do one step,
then the other step.
then everything else kind of.
You know what's another interesting thing about the workout is it's a good way to evaluate yourself every day. You know, because you go in there and you're like, oh, how am I feeling? Like, okay, this is easy or this is difficult, or you know, like I'm having trouble focusing, or it's easy focus. It's a really good way to evaluate yourself every day, you know?
Yeah. You know what I like to do as well when I go to the gym? Usually I go early in the morning, right? So if I have to do something, like, let's say today, I need to do something and I'm not feeling good about it. I have some emotions. I have some anger. I go to the gym first. Like I leave to the next day. I go to the gym first and I work my anger there or whatever. And then I respond in such a better way.
Of course.
But because I know myself now, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm able to hold that and not just respond in my emotions, not just, oh, I'm going to show him or her my anger. It's like, oh, that's not the best way to
I
deal.
understand.
Yeah.
There was a week or two ago, there was one day when I was just under a lot of stress for a variety of reasons, and it was like I did a morning workout, a light one, like I did yoga, you know, like not too intense. I did some things, but I still, like, it was like 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock at night, and I was like, I'm worked up, and I was like, you know what, like, you're gonna go run, you know. Yeah, like it's like 8 p.m. or like 9. It was dark. I started, it was dark outside. I took my dog Mika and we ran 10K, you know, and it's just like, let's just go. Like and I told myself, like, you're gonna run so you don't have any other energy to, like, you're gonna go home and just sleep.
Yeah.
You know? It's
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like so my point is, like, doing what you're saying, like using a workout to get rid of whatever energy.
Yes, it's amazing because you turn in a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
All this anger, energy, or whatever you want to write, it needs a way out, right? It's fighting. Oh, I'm going to respond like this. It's fighting to get out. Yeah. So you let it out, but in a good way. You go for a run.
Yeah, I go for it. My legs hurt for for a week after, but that was okay.
Yeah.
That's a better, you know, result than keeping that inside, and who knows.
Yeah, and I think that's our somehow on journey, but also mission, you know, in this lifetime, to develop those things, but also help people, right? That there's so many people that I think they are stuck.
Yeah.
They don't know. Like all those last 4 years of my life, I have learned so much and I changed so much. But I see that, of course, I still have a lot to learn, and I'm excited for that now, because I have done so much hard work here that now allows me to have excitement, joy for life, right, for what is coming. But I came from depression, from anxiety, from panic attacks, right? Like so many things for now to be excited for life, right? To excited to learn more about myself, to learn more about people, to learn more about you and how you overcome your challenge, right? Because it's life, it's
a challenge.
yeah.
It is.
And
It's not meant to be easy.
Yeah.
You know, this is something that I used to honestly believe, and I don't know where it came from. Like if it's our culture here or the school system or just myself. But like I had this belief, like life should be easy, like literally, like we should just make it so that it's like that there's no problems and it you know. And then I had a realization, no, like life's not meant to be easy. Like it's meant, like unfortunately, like or fortunately, like it's meant to have obstacles, right?
Yeah.
And it's not meant to be easy. Life's a hard thing, right? But if you understand that and learn that, then you can overcome that and you can be very strong, right? But to become strong,
Yeah.
you have to go through the hardships and not have that mentality, oh, it should be easy.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember this book that I was reading that talks about anger and focus, I think. I think was focus. Like if two fighters, like real fighters, will fight each other, and one is anger and the other is focus.
Yeah.
Which one do you think it will win?
So I would probably say I'm on focus.
Yeah. And you know why?
Wow.
Because anger is a weak emotion.
Focus is
It's a very strong one, right? And so when we are angry and we feel all powerful, it's actually a weakness. Because someone focus can snap you in the face.
I'm thinking about this. Like, I could potentially see both arguments here. Like, I'm just thinking out loud here, right?
Yeah.
Like, in general, a person who's calm and collected, who can make a calculated decision, is probably going to fight or better, right?
Yeah.
On the other hand, like, I would say like maybe there's different kinds of anger. So like there's the anger like I'm just angry in my life, you know, like 100% agree. However, like if you hurt like someone in my family or like my dog or something, and in that moment, that's a different kind of anger.
Yeah, for sure.
That's but
it's linked to a weakness, like it hurt you. So you see how anger is a weak emotion because it gives you power, yes, but gives you not you can process your thoughts anymore. You're just acting in anger.
This is true. This is so I'll give you an example. As recently, Mika, my dog here, I swim on the beach, and this lady, this animal police, when I was swimming, took Mika and put her in the van. And I was furious, right? Because other people came and they told me, like, they start screaming at me, I'm in the water, like they're taking your dog or taking your dog. So I quickly swim, and then I go to the van, and I'm like, roll down your window, like let me have my dog. And she's like, no. I'm like, let me have my dog. So then I start banging on the like window, like and the window starts shaking, and then she starts rolling it up, and then she starts moving the car or whatever, right? And then I had to calm myself down logically to figure out, okay, like I can't just beat on this car. Like what's my next move? Like, and it's like bringing that in, right? And luckily for me,
You were able.
I was able, and what I realized, if I just sit down in front of the car, and then I could wait for the police, you know. So it luckily worked, and I had her back. But the point of the story was, in that fear, in that, you know, anger or fury, I had to like calm myself down, right? And then the police made me apologize to the lady for banging on her car. And I remember in that moment, I'm like, I don't care. Like, it wasn't sincere, right? But I calmed myself down and I said, okay, like, yes, I'm sorry. Like, I'm so sorry that, please, can I have my dog back? And it was just like having to regulate yourself to be able to do the interaction in the smart, intelligent way so I can get her back.
Yeah.
You know?
Focus, right? No emotion.
Yes.
You have to shut down that emotion, because it was emotion that wouldn't lead you to any good place.
Yes.
Right? Yes. Even though you know the power you had there, you know you could get your dog back with power, but it would get you in a bad end, let's say, right? Like, I don't know the consequence of that, you know, but, you know, it's exactly what I mean, because that's how our first instinct, right? To just, I'm anger. Like, what are you doing? Yeah. It's my dog or whatever, right? Yeah, I had so many reactions like that too. Like, I know I'm right. What are you doing? But then you start losing. Yeah, you start losing yourself. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because of the emotions that it's taking over. Yeah. So yeah, when I was reading that, I was like, oh, this is so true. I can apply this in any situation that I was anger. Like, see, like, what you did right there. Yeah. You just start to seeing that was getting out of your control. Yeah. So, okay, I'm going to come down and I'll deal with this in a better way. In a better way. And in a way that I didn't want to do. Yeah. But in a way that I knew would be the best possible result. Yeah. You know? Yeah. It's hard. It's control. Yeah. It's hard, yes. And unfortunately, there is a lot of stuff in this world where we can't respond the way we would like to, right? That's why, going back to my motivation to do a podcast, that's how I want to fight, because I get mad with so many things that I see, and I want to talk about it, and I say, no, like, why I'm going to do this? Like, I'm going to get in so much trouble if I just yell my thoughts here, right? So I'll do it on the podcast. I'll fight a good fight. I'll share light in the darkness. This is smart. Yeah. But at the same time, I'm exposing myself. So imagine nowadays you start talking about God. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's a lot of people doing this already. Mm-hmm. I'll be no different. But I do, as a Christian, I do think it's something He's calling me to do, like fight the good fight. Mm-hmm. If you are so angry with all the darkness in the world, so why don't you shine some light, right? So, but then, yin and yang, positive and negative, whatever the way you want to think, good and bad, evil or good, or evil or then God or devil, whatever the way you want to put, they coexist, right? You can't believe in God and not believe in the devil. You can't believe in the night and not believe in the day, right? Everything coexists. So for me, it's like, if I, in my perspective of life, if I start fighting the good fight, I'll get response back. Yeah. Right? So that's one of the things that was holding me back and it still holds me back a lot. Like, oh, I can share this with a friend. I can share this with family. Why should I share on social media?
Yeah.
You know? But so it's a bit of a paradox for me. But then I have to just trust the process as well. Trust that, well, if I have the feeling, if I have the desire to do, why not?
Yeah, do it.
Yeah.
Do it.
Yeah.
There's a quote I like. I don't know where it comes from. It's a very old quote, but you've probably heard this before. It says that we all have two wolves inside of us, like a good and a bad one, or something like this, good and evil, or something, right? And the one that wins is the one that you feed. Right?
Yeah, I have heard that one. It's a good one. Yes. Yes.
Because we all like to like the yin yang. So my encouragement to you is just do it.
Yeah.
Put it out there. And whatever people say, like do what your heart says and just go for it. And like take that leap of faith and just do it.
Yeah.
And again, like on mine, I have episodes where things don't go well. Like I had episodes where I lose audio. I have episodes where I lose video.
Yeah.
And like so, like when I lose audio, then I have to use these bad cameras for audio.
Yeah.
But I still put it out there.
Yeah.
Like it's like, okay, like this happened.
Yeah.
Okay.
It
Like,
doesn't matter. It's still
just do it. This is what
still good. It's still getting done.
Yeah, and I also give this advice, which is I truly believe that people crave authenticity.
Yeah.
So don't be afraid to just share what's like whatever you're passionate about, your heart, share it.
Yeah.
Because if you try to restrict or censor or change what you say based on other people's opinions,
No, it's not gonna work.
No.
Yeah.
You might get a smaller you might get a certain audience.
Yeah.
But the people are gonna not feel the authenticity, and you're not gonna
last. Yeah. I agree 100%. Yes. I have no clue how everything is gonna go. Maybe I'll do for a period of time just to learn, because I love to learn.
Yeah.
You know, okay, this is so interesting to me, you know, how you guys do everything. And then I'm sure I'll learn a bunch of stuff, and then we'll see what's going to happen, if it's going to lead me to another thing. And I'm excited to find out what that is.
And like for you, you can start small, like just get a decent microphone, you know, like you can get a microphone, like a computer microphone for like $30-$100, something like this. And then use your laptop camera or your phone, and boom, like just go in the front of your desk. Like
thank you for the encouragement.
Is there anything else you wanted to talk about?
Yeah, I think
that's it.
We hit everything I had in mind.
Well, thank you, Camila, for being on the podcast. That was a pleasure having you as a guest.
Thank you so much. My pleasure.
Thank you. See you, folks. Have a good one. Bye-bye.